Hello, thank you for joining in. If you ever needed a way to add star rating in your Shiny application, like how Amazon has those 5 stars using which you can review the product that you have bought, then I have built an R package which does just that. In this video, we will learn how we can use the shinyRatings R package in our Shiny application. So the requirement that I had was I wanted a feedback system, a way in which you can review something. So I needed an input which was like 5 stars, where user can input from 1 to 5 any star rating. They can provide review of that product. So I was looking for a solution. I searched online, and as expected, I did not find something specific in R and Shiny. But then I expanded my horizon and started looking for solutions in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, because I was sure in those technologies there would always be something or the other which has already been done. And fortunately, I did find a solution, but as we R developers are very bad in HTML and CSS, it was too confusing for me. I don't know if all the R developers are bad or is it only me, but specifically, yes, I am very bad in HTML, CSS. So it was very challenging for me to twist the CSS. I was successful finally. So I thought maybe there would be someone like me who has a problem similar to me. They want to include a way in which they want to get feedback from the user or the customer, right? And they are not very good at HTML and CSS to hack this solution. So let me write a package, and this is where shinyRatings was born. So I think it is a good time now to write a new package, and for this use case specifically that I was struggling with. So we will have a quick demo where I want to show you all the features and arguments this shinyRatings package has and how you can use it. So I'll share my screen to show you the demo. Okay, I hope you can see my screen now, and we are going to run the simple example which is from the help page of shinyRatings. First of all, make sure that you have shinyRatings package installed. It is available on CRAN, so a simple install.packages should work for shinyRatings. After you have loaded Shiny and shinyRatings, we are going to quickly run this. Now let's try to map the arguments and the output that we are seeing here. So for example, the first star rating is 7, so we have got 7 stars here, and the second one, there is no number of stars included, but by default the value is 5, so here we are seeing 5 stars. The default argument is when we launch the application, how many stars we want to see to be selected by default. So in first case I have 5 as default, so that's why we see that we have 5 stars here selected, and for the second one we have set it as 3, that's why number of stars which are selected is 3. There is an additional argument called as disabled, which is false by default, but it can also take value true here, how we have done it in the second case. What that means is when disabled is true, you'll not be able to change the star rating. So here if you see, if we click on anything, the number of star ratings does not change. So this is what disabled does. Now in the first case, the disabled is absent, which means it is false by default, so here we can change the value, and as we change the value, you see that the number of stars, the value is being captured, right? As far as code is concerned, it's very simple. In the UI side, you include shinyRatings function with the ID name and all these arguments if needed. If you don't need them, then it will take all the default values, which is fine as well. And on the server side, you will have the value, the number of stars which is selected in this ID input. So this input $*1 will give the number of stars here that we are seeing 5.5 is coming from input $*1, and this one, the second one, input $2 is the number of stars selected for the second one, right? Because disabled is true in the second case, this would always remain constant, right? By default the value would be the one which we have given here, 3, so this would always return 3. We can also quickly go through the documentation to make sure that we understand. You can see that the function name is shinyRatings. The arguments are input ID, number of stars. Default value is same as number of stars. By default we are giving 5 as number of stars, and the default value is also same. If you don't give anything, this is what it takes, and the disabled flag is false by default. So let's take another example where we remove all the default values and give only the ID value. And what happens in this case? If you see, in the second case, now we have 5 stars which are displayed, and since the default value is same as number of stars, in that case we have got 5 stars which are selected. Since we have now removed disabled flag, we can now select any value. The minimum value is 0.5 and the maximum is all the stars. So you cannot have something like 1.25 or 1.67, right? It does not make sense to have these decimals as values. So that's why you can either select half stars or you can select a complete number. So that's how it works. So yes, it's a simple package. It has only this one functionality, and this was really needed for the project which I was working on. So it was super useful for me. But if you think you can include this in your project, feel free to use it. If you have any feedback, make sure that you give that through GitHub. So while working on this package, I went through few of the challenges. I just wanted to put them here. There were 3 challenges majorly. The first one was, as I mentioned, HTML, CSS and JavaScript. I'm not very strong in that, and this solution relied heavily on CSS. So actually I had to take a lot of efforts to understand what is going on and to tweak it just to make sure that it works in our case. The first basic version had only one shiny rating. It was only possible to have only one shiny rating in an app with only 5 stars by default. All these arguments, default, number of stars and disabled, I have iterated on it and built it over last few months on this. So it started with a very small and basic concept, and now I have added some more arguments just to make it more flexible and more useful. So the first one was HTML, CSS and JavaScript. It took me a lot of efforts to understand that. Second one is input binding. Like with any of the shiny elements, you need to actually connect the input that you are generating in a shiny element with the value that is being provided. So for example, we saw that we had shiny rating *1 and *2, so that needs to be binded. The value of the star rating which we are providing in input $*1 and input $*2, that needs to be binded together, and I think it uses JS or jQuery in the background, so I had to use that to do the input binding. There is a template available which we can use to do this input binding, and there are also a lot of examples of these shiny elements and how they do the input binding for their purpose. But since the shiny rating was a new element, it's not already existing, so I had to figure out this input binding on my own for this case. But I'm glad that I was able to make it work in the end, since I learned a very new concept. And finally, this package is available on CRAN. Since this is a very simple package which has only one function, so I thought it would be updating it on CRAN would be a very simple process, but turns out it was not. My package was rejected twice before finally getting accepted on CRAN. And yeah, mostly that's it. Those were the 3 major challenges that I faced while working on shinyRatings package. So most of the things on this package is mostly based on the use case that I had in my mind. So yeah, feel free to check it out. I'll put the GitHub link in the description, so have a look at it. If you have any feedback about the package, or if you have a feature request, please make sure to create an issue on GitHub. Thank you so much, and if you have any feedback on the video, please feel free to add a comment as well. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.